do we need to just reimagine marriage as an institution to make it more appealing and attractive for people who do want it? Do we need to retool some things, or are we going to stand on, hey, it's always been this way, we're going to always do it this way, which oddly enough they say is the deadliest phrase in business?
I'll start. Do we need to reimagine marriage? I think it kind of goes back to your point about people who are married being bad at being the advertisement and marketers for marriage. Because first, if you're going, there should be truth in advertising. So if it's going to be hard times, sometimes you should tell the person.
Small print.
Yeah, and the fine print.
Yeah, the disclaimer.
Where it may cause, death and blindness
and
or whatever.
dry mouth.
Down there.
And blue balls.
And blue balls.
Yes.
No. You should definitely give that out, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the problem comes in no two marriages really should be exactly alike, because the people involved aren't exactly the same. So it's really hard for you to tell somebody else what their marriage is going to be or going to be like, or even like, how to put this thing together, even though people do it all the time, right? So the reimagined, I want to say, yeah, but who does the reimagining? That is $1 million question. Because are you going to let social media do it? You're going to let a guru do it? Or are you going to let you and your partner do it? But yeah, I think whatever our ideas are of marriage, we learned them all from the outside. So all of that is imperfect information. Even if you had somebody on the inside, your parent or whoever, telling you about their marriage, you probably only got one side of the story. It's still imperfect information. Mm-hmm. You got to reimagine it for yourself.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and co-sign on that. That was actually what I was thinking, was that when we talk about reimagining relationships or reimagining marriage, I will acknowledge that sometimes, just like you just said, oh, you made it seem boring, hard work, good shit like that. Why the hell I want to get married? But at the end of the day, when you talk about reimagining, you do have to involve the two people that's actually in the relationship. And what does that look like? But in order to reimagine it, you got to communicate what you want. And I think oftentimes, even in regular relationships, people actually don't communicate what they really want. And that's how we end up with these relationships that turn out to be trash, or we end up with a high divorce rate, or we end up with people doing XYZ within the marriage because people don't communicate what they want. And we actually took the time to talk about it. But you know what? It takes courage to communicate what you want. It takes courage to admit that there are some things that are not being satisfied, or there are some things that you want to change. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And some people just don't have that courage to do so. And so for me, when we talk about reimagining, you should always reimagine at different points in your life, because you're not the same person that you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even yesterday. I'm not the same person I was yesterday. So there's a constant state of reimagining first for yourself, but then there's the reimagining the relationship with your partner too, because your partner isn't the same person that they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and so forth. It's just a matter of finding a baseline to work from when you have that reimagining conversation, is the way I view it. But I definitely believe it starts with the two people in the relationship, because no marriages should be the exact same. I shouldn't sit here and say, hey, my marriage is just like yours, because if I am sitting here saying my marriage is just like yours, first of all, why do I know so much detail about your marriage? Second, it'll be like, well, am I doing a disservice to my partner if I'm trying to imagine my relationship to be just like yours? And so I think that's a major part of it too, that no marriage or relationship period should be the exact same. So reimagine with your partner and decide what that looks like for you. But it starts with communicating your needs.
So when I think about the word reimagine, I guess you got to take it in a different place, right? Because I feel like for those people who relationship and status quo is working for them, why would they want to reimagine anything, right? If it's working for them, sure, no problem. But when you hear about high divorce rates and numbers, when you hear about the gender war, or the gender war, but then also gender roles, that's at the heart sometimes of these gender wars, right? When you hear all this conversation, it's kind of like leading you to believe that the status quo may not be working, right? So even monogamy, for example, if people are constantly cheating, maybe that. So when you talk about reimagining, I think the question becomes, if you're not happy with the status quo, do you have the imagination to begin with, right? Because I think a lot of people can't even move off of the position that's normal. Like, okay, this is the only way that things can be. That person has no imagination. So to tell that person to reimagine the thing, right, is going to be difficult, because for them, if they don't have that thing, they have nothing. I do think overall as a community that we should certainly reimagine relationships, period. We talked about families. How do we reimagine that? We have Friendsgiving, for example, right? Like people have events where, hey, we do something different around this holiday that celebrates family and food or whatever. And so we're going to bring people together. So people reimagined how to have a familial experience with people who are friends. So when we're talking about even now romantic relationships, I think absolutely, again, this is only for people like if you're a woman out there and you're not satisfied with your dating experience. Why? Because maybe a lot of guys out there seem to just kind of hit it and quit it and they bounce, right? So what you're doing is not working. Maybe you should reimagine, right, what your life can look like, what it is that you truly want. I agree with you about the communication piece, but the thing that's missing is, unfortunately, a lot of people don't even fucking know what they want to begin with, to let alone communicate it to the other person. You'll be surprised on how many people are just moving through life, y'all. No plan, no knowledge, no nothing. Get moving around like little pinballs in a little pinball machine, and some come swiping off and they get kicked off to somewhere else. Like, I swear for God. So before they can even talk to somebody about what they want, they got to first know what they want. And so many people are walking around here not knowing that at all, let alone to then have the conversation, let alone to try to build something. You know what I'm saying? So I'm all with reimagining. Even when we were talking about, if we're talking about like, should women lead? Like, to me, that's reimagining something. It's not the status quo. It is different. It is, but why not consider it? Right? Especially if what is currently working, not working for you. There are some of y'all women who think y'all should get one man to yourself. Sis, maybe you should reimagine that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with recognizing the type of guy that you want. The relationship might have to look a little different. You get what I'm saying? Like, there are some women who don't want a relationship for real. But because society will make them feel some type of way, they got to sit there and pretend and do the whole melancholy of relationships when all they really wanted was steady dick. You know what I'm saying? Like,
She
you know
really just
what I
wanted a
mean?
maintenance man. That's it.
Yeah, you know what I mean?